True North, strong and free. As a Canadian, I'm proud of these fundamental characteristics of my nation. What makes Canada true, strong, and free is its welcoming acceptance of all. That regardless of your race or religion, your creed or your color, you are welcome here. On June 16th, 2019, however, Canada sadly took a step backwards when the Quebec provincial government passed Bill 21, a law preventing public servants like teachers, judges, and police officers from wearing religious symbols at work. The most controversial of these symbols are head coverings, which distinguish many Muslims, Sikhs, and Jews. Deciding to wear these coverings is not a wardrobe choice. It is a matter of personal conscience, reflecting who one is and symbolizing deeply held beliefs. This bill takes a baseball bat, or in Canada's case, a hockey stick, to its reputation as a champion of diversity and pluralism. And sadly, we're not alone. In Germany, provinces have banned teachers from wearing religious symbols. In France, teachers and students are affected. Regions in Belgium, Spain, and Italy have similar laws. But truth, strength, and freedom are not just Canadian values. Laws like Bill 21 undermine these principles around the world. Let's talk about truth. Being true is about being authentically who you are. It concerns identity and integrity. Proponents of laws like Bill 21 argue that immigrants should assimilate. They should give up traditional practices and adopt the culture of their new society in order to create social cohesion. But here's the thing. Forcing individuals to be less true to who they are will not encourage them to embrace a new culture. Instead, it will make them feel disrespected and alone. Proponents of Bill 21 say that it is needed to protect Quebec's culture. And this intention is reasonable, but not at the cost of others having to sacrifice their identities. And besides, what does it mean to be truly Quebecois, or for that matter, French or German? Take, for example, Amrit Kaur. Amrit, who wears a turban, has spent her entire life in Quebec. Fluent in French, English, and Punjabi, she is immersed in Quebecois culture and unequivocally identifies as a Quebecer. No longer welcome in the province as a teacher simply because she wears a turban, Amrit has been forced to leave the only home she has known. And I would remind those living in Quebec that at one point they too were immigrants, arriving in a land inhabited by indigenous peoples. And just as it was really important to the Europeans to maintain their identities in the New World, so it is for newcomers today. Let's talk about strength. A strong nation is prosperous and peaceful. Prosperous nations engage the best and the brightest of their societies. Let me ask you, if you were accused of a crime, wouldn't you want your fate to be in the hands of the most qualified judge, regardless of whether or not they wear a Jewish kippah? The Quebec Education Minister has even admitted that Oxford-educated activist and Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai wouldn't be allowed to teach in the province, simply because she covers her head. How is this making society stronger? And what I find appalling is that if Malala were to find herself a teacher in Quebec, she could possibly be teaching at the school of Baby Jesus, located on the corner of Cardinal Avenue and Virgin Mary Street. But she'd be the one breaking the secularist law. But perhaps the most worrisome argument to justify religious discrimination is reflected in the comments of Quebec Premier François Legault when he says, quote, "Quebec needs such a law to fight extremism." I find this offensive and simple-minded. Fanaticism is not rooted in external headscarves. Rather, it is the product of complex socioeconomic and political issues. What's more is that in the name of preventing extremism, the Quebec government is banning individuals from wearing headscarves such as hijabs, but are forcing all of their citizens to wear masks. How does that make sense? Assuming that wearing religious symbols translates into extremism does not fall in line with the principles of our nation. And assuming that means that it shouldn't come as a surprise that since this bill has been introduced, Muslim women in Quebec have experienced greater physical violence and verbal harassment. Xenophobic views only make all of us less strong. So lastly, let's talk about freedom. A free nation is one that respects and upholds basic human rights. Section 18 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights guarantees all individuals the right to practice and observe their religion. This is echoed in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and similar laws in most countries. Bill 21 proponents say that infringement upon freedoms is necessary to protect secularism, the idea that there should be a clear separation between religion and government. But such laws make incorrect assumptions. Hiring a Muslim prosecutor who wears a hijab does not mean that the government is promoting Islam. Because by that logic, a teacher who wears an AC/DC t-shirt to school every day would mean that the government is pushing heavy metal music. There is nothing to support the notion that wearing religious symbols undermines the separation of church and state. In fact, evidence proves otherwise. The QPAT, a union consisting of about 8,000 Quebec teachers, states that not one of its members who wears a religious symbol has ever been the subject of a complaint because of their beliefs. Secularism does not mean the absence of religion from society. Rather, it ensures that the government can rule without religious influence, but also that individual citizens can practice their faith freely without government intervention. So, laws like Bill 21 actually undermine secularist ideals, and in so doing, make us all less free. The reality is, globalization and migration are facts of life. Nations will have to find ways to integrate increasingly diverse populations. One imperative step is to fight discriminatory laws. For example, individuals should write letters to government representatives expressing their concerns. Federal leaders should take whatever means necessary, such as cutting funding, to force provinces to overturn harmful legislation. And individuals and government officials who are personally affected by the laws should challenge them in the courts. But we will only be inspired to take such action and prevent future institutionalized discrimination if we understand the root cause of the problem. Bill 21 and its global counterparts originate in ignorance. As human beings, we fear the unknown, we fear the other. And we do so because we assume that those who are different will cause us harm. But is there any good reason for this assumption? Michel Jacques, a resident of Quebec, asked this very question. He believed that Muslims were all terrorists trying to convert the world. But it dawned on him that he didn't actually know why he thought this. So on Facebook, he asked if there were any Muslims who were willing to answer a few questions about their faith. And through conversations over donuts and coffee, he came to realize, quote, "They're people just like me." The example of Monsieur Jacques should inspire us all. Contrary to what we were taught as kids, that being, don't talk to strangers, we need to get to know our fellow citizens, especially when they seem different from us. His Highness the Aga Khan puts it quite nicely in his acceptance speech of the Adrian Clarkson Prize for Global Citizenship when he says, quote, "Diversity is not a reason to build walls, but rather to open windows. It is not a burden, it is a blessing," unquote. I want a better future. Today we face and we will continue to face issues of immense magnitude that are threatening that future. And in order to surmount these challenges, we're going to have to work with others who are different than ourselves, and for two reasons. Firstly, the benefits. Different people with different backgrounds provide different perspectives, which are crucial if we want to find common solutions to common problems. Solutions that we wouldn't have found if we were working on our own. But secondly, the issues that face our world today are global issues. And therefore, we must work with people from across the globe to solve them. It is simply unavoidable. But we cannot meet the challenge of diversity with fear and closed-mindedness. Correcting our assumptions is the antidote to ignorance and key if we are to live in a world that is true, that is strong, and that is free. Thank you very much.